Welcome to the Jersey Crew Fantasy Football Podcast, Week 4. We're 3 weeks through, and Ben and I are here to talk about some Jersey Crew Fantasy Football once again for our podcast and YouTube stream. And how are you doing out there, Ben, to start Week 4?
I'm feeling pretty good. That's quite a way to go into Week 4 here, almost into our. I mean, technically, 3.5 would be a quarter of the way through the season, right? So we are a quarter of the way through the season. So I will absolutely take that, the regular season at least.
Yep.
And just we've got some fun things to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
The good old, like, it's like you go to bed and you wake up the next morning and you have no idea how you pulled it off, or maybe everyone watched all their games, but there's a couple things that we're going to talk about that are just pretty shocking. I will say though, I lost my Survivor.
I didn't even know that.
I did, and it just was like the whole weekend was so good in our other leagues except for our co-managed team. And that was just a thorn in my side. So I'm feeling the thanks. Yeah, it's only fair.
Oh, wow. Who did you pick? Packers?
No, I took the Falcons, and they got whooped.
And why did you take the Falcons?
At Carolina, the Panthers. Okay. So I was trying to get ahead a little bit and play a team who I wouldn't want to rely on later necessarily.
Yeah.
And they just got absolutely smacked.
So. Oh, that stinks. Do you have any other entries, or was that your only one?
No, that was it. And the buybacks are done, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, you didn't share that. That stinks. I mean, a great week in fantasy. Coming off of a top score for week 3, 156 Ben's out here, coming off of a win, myself included, coming off of a win as well, which I'm excited about too. Big win, a Monday Night Madness. I win over ladies. So both of us are coming off of a win, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest news is really you just showing what you're capable of and scoring the most points in the league and getting immunity for week 4. And something that you said in a text, you said, I think this is the first time that you've gotten immunity. Is that true? Do you think that's the case?
That is true. I mean, I feel like I would have known if I had gotten it another time, and I just always was hoping for it. But the only year that we've that I have been a high scoring team since we started the Survivor was last year.
Okay.
And even then, like, we had other high scoring teams last year. We had plenty of other teams who were doing, who were putting up really high outputs and points. And so, first time.
I think so. I think you're right. So I did look back. This isn't tied to Survivor because I don't know exactly if you were eliminated or what. But when do you think the last time you had the highest score during the regular season for Jersey Crew? First the year and then the week. What do you think?
Year. So we both went 4-0 last year to start with Q. Shout out to Q. He needs a little shout out right
now. He needs a lot of love right now.
It was a great way to start the year, and it wasn't dominant, but so initially I would have thought it was somewhere before I had my 6-game skid last year.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say that. I don't think that's true. I'm going to say it was like back in I'm going to say like 2020 is it in the 20s?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to say 20. It wasn't 2020 with CH. It wasn't 21. I'm going to say 22.
It was 23. So the last time you were number one scorer in a week was 2023. Can you guess the week?
That was a pretty bad year, but I had Christian McCaffrey. Okay. So it was pretty solid. So I'm going to say pretty early on. Let's go like week 3.
It was week 11. So towards the end of 2023, week 11, you had 1 week. And again, maybe you were eliminated at that point. I don't know. I probably were. But 155 points, number one in that week, and has not been number one in a week in the regular season, at least, until this week at 156. So excited to go over that. We also have the power rankings back for the Jersey Crew. I took a couple weeks, which is probably good anyway, because it will give us a little bit more of a insight into some power rankings based on points, optimal points, and then optimal lineup equity, which we did the last couple of years. So we'll go over that. And then, of course, Monday Night Madness, which we continue to keep this intro because it never fails. There's a Monday Night Madness with myself, and then there was a serious, just a shocker of a Monday Night Madness with Coyotes over Uncle Buck. Also, did you notice? I don't know if you were looking at the team names. Coyotes, Kyle, changed his team name.
Wait, what?
He took the out of it.
Oh.
He went to just Coyotes. So this is big.
It worked.
I don't know what he did that, but I was looking at it, and it's funny because I talked to Q over the offseason. I'm like, you got to get rid of this Q's team. Like, just Groovy Q. Like, it doesn't have to be Groovy Q's team or whatever. And I never said anything to Kyle, but he took out and now he's just Coyotes. Did you notice that?
I did not notice that. This may be as big as when I took the Mercedes out.
Oh yeah, true. Or when you changed, remember like towards the end of the year you changed your logo before you won the championship?
I was really
ambitious.
Yes. Yeah, that was a little risky.
It was. But hey, so
Kyle,
we'll go over that.
It works for me. I'm hoping it works for him. I'm hoping it works for Q. And just speaking of names, I feel like with all the changes in names, I feel like I do have one of the longest names. And maybe Joe is up there. Anyway, I know we talked about that with Sean, but so that's interesting. A name change is pretty massive here, even just that.
I like it because it cleans it up, and that's what was kind of my point with Groovy Q. I'm like, let's clean this up, and he does it too. So it was just funny. It was funny. I was noticing it because I was actually doing the power rankings, and I had the Coyotes in there, and I was like, oh wait, no, he's not the Coyotes anymore. I think it was just during the off season, or I don't know, but funny little thing there.
That is funny, and I would say, Matt, whenever you're ready. You're next. So
Giants and Cowboys,
I like it. I like
suck off. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I did want to bring that up too. Like our podcast and our feed, has been getting some views and some people are tuning in, and we're getting, we're not getting hate, but we're getting feedback. Let's put it that way. We're getting feedback. Pack Attack sends a direct email.
Yeah.
What was it?
Engagement.
Yeah. Yes, we're getting engagement, and I guess some of our hot takes are being taken personal. But I loved it. I was dying laughing. I actually got it a couple days before I sent it to you in the group chat for the four of us. But Pack Attack sends an email directly to me right after I released the podcast, talking about, you know what, Benz, if you want to hate a little bit, that's fine. You hated me during the championship run that would have been 23
2 years ago.
Yeah. And apparently, that helped him. And he said you severely doubted him or something like that.
Consistently
doubted him, and then he ended up winning. So, but then he puts up a dud, and unfortunately, not to give it away, but we have an announcement to make about Survivor, and he's not on the right side of that. So what was your take on that little feedback that you got from Pack Attack?
After I was a little bit scared and I calmed down for a second. No, he really went at it specifically with the consistently doubting, and that phrase, you never want to be someone who consistently doubts anyone else. So he got me good. He did get me good. However, was I not a little bit correct?
Probably after week 3, and we'll go over that. So we'll check that out.
Yeah, I'm not doubling down, but not a great week for him. Anyway, he'll turn it around. I'm sure. We've always said he's one of the most consistent managers. And so everything will be okay. It just was really funny the exchange that happened with my comments, his comment, and then his game.
I know that's true. Not good timing, but and then Matt too. As always, we talk about Giants and Cowboys. He made a joke about how I said his full name, Giants and Cowboys suck, so he was happy. But then during the episode, I said that he wasn't going to make playoffs, or at least the most likely not to make playoffs. And he's like, all right, if you think so, let's go. And so good interaction, a lot of fun, and people are heated up. It just feels. What was it?
Keep it coming.
Yeah. It just feels like a different year. And you know what? It is. It's the 20th anniversary. It's winner take all. It's one league, which is always fun. We're going to look over standings and everything. I'm going to bring that up, but it's always fun when you see this just one league. When's the last time we saw this as a one league, standings 1 through 12 without the division. So it's very, very interesting. And I think it has that different feel to it. And I think we're feeling that from the feedback from everybody too. So just a lot of fun, good times, and excited to go over. I mean, he comes off of another win. We have 2 undefeated teams. Jet up number 1 overall right now with 3-0, and Giants and Cowboys right behind them at 3-0. So we'll talk about those teams. What else? Oh, we want to, as we go through these matchups, we'll kind of determine if you are a contender or a pretender. And this is something Ben kind of made up and brought to my attention. Like, hey, we've talked about panicked and pumped. We talked about different things. One of the things we'll talk about are you a contender or pretender? And I think contender will be for the playoffs. I think that's going to be a big part of this is, can you be in the top half of this league, top 6 teams make the playoffs, or are you a pretender? Either you're failing and you have no chance of making the playoffs, or you are in that top 6 and potentially will not make the playoffs. So a bunch to go over, and we'll get into it unless you have anything else, Ben. How about your other leagues? How do you do in fantasy in general before we get into Jersey Crew?
So other than the Survivor League, I went 3-1. Another great week. I'm 3-0 in my Jersey Boys League.
Nice.
Guys, and 2-1 in the Camp League, which is like a higher stakes, more than some of the other ones. And then I'm still determined to get this co-managed team correct.
I know.
And by the way, our name is Diabolical Dart.
Yep.
And
week 4,
ladies and gentlemen, it's time to come to the dart side.
Were you waiting for that one?
I've been waiting all day. Yeah. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Oh man.
So
the dart side. I really like that.
Because he wears the Anakin Skywalker. Exactly, perfect. Yeah. In time for Halloween.
What's the Skywalker? What are you talking about?
His blacks. His eye blacks.
I don't know if I knew that.
He wears it like Anakin Skywalker's scar because he likes Star Wars so much.
Wow, you know a lot about this guy.
It's time. Let's go.
Okay, all right.
Now we got tickets.
I like it. So 1-2 in that one. I went 5-3 last week, so not bad. Pretty decent. 2 3-0 teams and 2 2-1 teams. Yeah, pretty sure. Okay. And then the other 4, actually it might be 3 2-1 teams, and then the other 3 are below that. Jersey Crew being one of them. But yes, I got my first win. Very exciting. Definitely going to go over that too. So yeah, before we talk about everything we want to talk about, let's go over these matchups. So all right, the first one is myself, the Godfather, with Monday Night Madness, down 50 points, 77 points going into Monday night, with Lamar Jackson and Jahmyr Gibbs to go. Ladies love G-Men, had 127 points. Really not a bad score this year, right? Like just kind of average, not bad at all.
Not bad.
And again, up 50 points. So of course, Sarah and I, texted, we went back and forth a little, joking around. I said something like, "Oh, like this is going to be tough." Like, and I really did believe that. And she's like, "Come on, you have Lamar." So she must have been kind of psyching herself out of it already. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I really thought I was going to win. I don't know if I thought I was going to win by 10 and score 60 points with 2 players, but if I had any 2 players that needed 50 and they were playing against each other, I mean, if you watch the first half, it felt like every point scored was from Lamar Jackson or Jahmyr Gibbs. So, I mean, it was just perfect script. And then towards the end, I mean, it didn't win until the 4th quarter. And then, of course, Lamar Jackson throws a touchdown to Mark Andrews, which is another Monday Night Madness piece in the Coyotes
from somewhere else.
Coyotes. Yeah. And Uncle Buck, Monday Night Madness. But 60 points from Lamar Jackson and Jahmyr Gibbs to bring my total to 137-2. Which I believe was the 3rd most this week. Let me look real quick if I can. 137. Yeah, because Jet Up scored like literally 0.6 more than me. So
basically second.
Yeah, second most coming into Monday night with 77 points. So, I mean, I feel good. I look at my team like, how can I lose? Like, I really feel good. Now, the one thing I did want to bring up, and I want to get your opinion on too, this is with my Worthy exposure as well. So yeah. I have Xavier Worthy on this team. Which was maybe a round 4 pick. Yeah, round 4 pick, maybe round 5. And so basically just wiped out until he comes back. So how do you feel about my team right now? But also with the fact that I'm doing this and have this team without a round 4 pick in my lineup.
Look, this is the type of game that as a 9th grader, 10th grader, 11th grader, as you're like growing up playing fantasy football, you're always hoping for. You're always like, I'm going to watch Monday night. It's probably not going to happen, but what if it does? And what if he goes off? And what if what if Michael Vick puts up 52 points on a Monday night, right? Like these things happen, but it's so few and far between. So, and it happened for you, and you needed that. Like, I don't think you can lose 3 games and feel like, okay, you put up 133 your first week, 144, and then 137 this week. And so, I have to say, you're a legit contender.
Yeah.
Because of those totals and the teams that you were playing, and you would have beaten almost every other team in those weeks. And now you wouldn't have been able to rest on that had you lost this week and be like, yeah, but at least I put up 137. It wouldn't have really mattered as much as the first 2 did. You get the win here. You are in that legitimate contender category, and just absolute desperation W from a team that can keep competing. Can keep repeating this. You definitely can. I don't know about Worthy. It's just so hard to tell because of the Kansas City offense and how weird they are, and how the running backs stink, and Mahomes is like kind of finding Thornton now, and Kelsey's not really doing so much, and so maybe he comes back, but then Rice comes back in a couple of weeks. It's like, does it get complicated there? He's going to add value. Of course, he can be a great flex on your team or a great wide receiver on bye weeks, whatever you need him for. He's going to be good. How good, we'll see. But all that to say, like, don't trade Jaylen Warren. Sorry, Q. I would definitely keep it. But no, I there's a lot you could do there. But and a team that can just keep churning out victories here. I would say, hey, I did say that those 2 losses were going to be your only 2 losses of the season, and you would make a push. So I'm
not going to lie. I looked through the matchups just like one week after another with the bye week. Obviously, I'm not setting my lineups or anything, but the bye week, I'm like, what? I don't know. Maybe I don't lose. I don't know. I feel confident. I didn't feel as confident going 0-2, but I looked at my scores, and I now have the optimal lineup equity, which I come in at number 1 because I don't have a decision. I don't really have a bench decision, 94%, I think it is for optimal equity. So wow. So it's just like, these are my players. But the funny thing with Worthy is, do you remember last year I had a lot of Rice, and that was with best ball with redraft, and he goes out, and I still was able to have a great year, won 3 championships. And then I feel like the same this year. I have someone that I was picking consistently all off season, best ball with redraft, high exposure for both of them. He goes out. Now, again, he's not out for the whole season, hopefully. But I am potentially going to be able to continue with a good record on my redraft teams, and still have a good advance rate on the best ball team, even with that person that's out. So I don't know. I just look at that as pretty interesting, and maybe that's the way I draft, or maybe that's just the supporting pieces I put around it. But man, I really put a lot into Worthy, and he's out, and I'm still able to do this. So happy about that.
As you should be.
Yeah. Ladies love G-men. So again, what are you thinking about this 0-3 team? I think we have like 2 or 3 teams, I believe, 0-3. Ladies love G-men. Unfortunately, Saz, she loves the game, she loves it, but she just cannot get a win. What are we thinking about our team? Can she put together a little streak, or is this just a pretender?
I mean, there's a third category that I haven't told you about, and it's offender, like with how no, I'm kidding. It's surrender, actually.
That was good. That was a good one.
Give up, right? No, I feel so bad. This is just, she's had 2 bad years, and it may be the case where it's a full year of that bad luck. And look, when she already is trying, she almost gets the win, and you happen to take the win from her. And so if you took the win from her, right, and she put up 127, let's say Connor doesn't get injured and he puts up even just like 12 points. Now she's sitting in the 130 range. I think there's a little bit of promise there, not to be a contender, not to make an actual push, just some hope.
Yeah.
I think with the Connor injury, I think they're speaking of Star Wars, there is no hope. So I'm so sorry. I just want to be honest here. I hate this because I love when Sarah's a good foe and a good, matchup each week. I don't know if it's her fault. Like, I think we looked at her team after the draft and we are like, okay, yeah, right. Like some concerns, but maybe like middle of the pack or like, bottom half or so, but let's see how these players play. And they're just not doing it.
Unfortunately, I agree. Maybe can she package together a trade or something? Maybe she get a little active or something.
I would say yes. Like,
George
I believe
Pickens.
You always can.
Yeah, so you have to think about like future value, and Jalen Hurts, he is what he is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you give him up though. Nico Collins, George Pickens, Ashton Genty, like there's people that will value those players, and maybe you try to put together something. But interesting, unfortunately for Sarah, she goes down, third loss, and on Monday night. She did expect it, or at least she told me that she did, and
that's kind of cool.
I kind of did too. To be honest with you, I'm looking at 50. I'm like, all right, I need 30. I told Sarah that was a text. I was like, I need a comfy 30 from Lamar, and I feel comfortable. Easy. And he gave it to me. He gave me 30, and Jahmyr Gibbs took the rest, with Montgomery taking touchdowns. I mean, and 72-yard run. So imagine if he goes down, or imagine if he gets he's just not on that team. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is a problem. So very excited about that. Definitely going to go 12-2. All right, move to our next Monday Night Madness. This was such a shocker. No one was following this as a Monday Night Madness issue or a potential, because I don't know what the exact numbers were, but basically Coyotes had Mark Andrews and Loop. First of all, I don't know who Loop is. Loop or whatever.
Loop, the kicker, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a kicker. So no idea why he started him, but he did. And Mark Andrews. And then Uncle Buck had Jake Bates. And I think that was it, right? Yeah, just Bates.
Yep.
But he was up. Like, I don't know what the math is here. It's 27. Yeah, I don't know what the math is, but 17, and then he had another 7, so he's up like 10 or something. I don't know. But anyway, Jake Bates is playing. He kicks a couple field goals. Loop is playing. He kicks a couple field goals. And then Mark Andrews just comes out of nowhere and just gets points and more points and more points, all the way to the point where Coyotes was losing in the fourth quarter by at least 7. Seven.
Right.
And it was garbage time. It was down. They were down 14 points with less than 2 minutes to go. And Lamar Jackson goes down and just throws a bomb to Mark Andrews, who takes it to the house. And they win. Coyotes wins by 0.14. So just and I haven't reached out to Sean. Did you talk to him at all? Did you see how he's doing? 0.14 from Mark Andrews, 27 points, where 7 or 8 of those points, 9 of those points, whatever that last touchdown was, did not even need to happen. He gets it anyway. He gets his first win. He gets Sean to have his first loss. Tell me what you think about this matchup and Coyotes and Uncle Buck and where they fall within our contender or pretender.
Oh man, I mean, this is blasphemy. It's madness. It's football. Like, it's so good. It's so great. And these fractional points are just like so much fun because of things like this. He would have gotten them anyway, right? 124 to 125, but still, just the idea that, I mean, this is why fantasy is amazing too, because people are watching for Mark Andrews, and he happened to do it again. This is what you hope for, and he did it. So. Two very interesting teams here, and I think Sean needed a loss so that the rest of the league could kind of feel like we were catching up and able to like stay with him. And Coyotes needed a win in the same way that you did, because he has not had the dominant scoring in the way that you have. So big win from Kyle there. Sean has to be a legitimate contender here. Let's see. So his first 3 weeks so far, 143, 143, 124.
Yeah.
And so some of my criteria was like, can you lose, but still put up a high point total? Yeah. That's an exact example of that, where he put up 124 and lost, but that's promising for the rest of the season. And then he put up 143 in both week 1 and week 2. And just Puka does it again and again and again and again, and that pick is looking great now. And you match it with McCaffrey, who just the guy. This may be his last season, like with how much they're using him, but it's worth it for Sean and his team. And then what a find with Keenan Allen. So I like a lot of the pieces there. definite contender. Is Coyotes a pretender? I think he's got a little bit more to do before we see one way or the other. So he would technically fall into that. Like this week is a little bit of him pretending to be in the mix here.
Well, yeah.
Right. Like gets another win next week. Now maybe we start talking, but if Chase actually starts playing like the number one pick in the league, he'll be good. And McConkey too. I would say McConkey might even be more concerning than Chase because over on Sean's team, he's got the wide receiver who's like 85 years old in Keenan Allen and getting more of the work or the more of the targets, I should say. AJ Brown, like look at those 3 wide receivers that the Coyotes has. Coyotes has. AJ Brown back on track here. Let's let a couple more weeks go by and we'll see.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, Tony Pollard is old. I'm not sure about that pick. Maybe it should be Tony Polaroid. And then Jalen Waddle is kind of like on a team that's like, who the heck knows what's going on with Miami. Gosh. So interesting there. I mean, I mean, Sarah would have beat both of them, right? 127. Yeah. So Sarah would have beat both Uncle Buck and Coyotes. So that's kind of tough. I'm wondering. I mean, definitely Sean, I agree that he's a contender. He's the second most in points. So when we go back to the standings, he's the second most in points behind me. And if he won, he's number 1 overall with the most points for the 3-0 teams. So right now he's the most points for the 2-1 teams, but he would have been number 1 overall if he pulls out that win. And somehow, some way, Coyotes gets a Mark Andrews touchdown with less than 3 minutes to go to pull away for the lead. So very interesting there, but I agree. I think Sean is a contender and Coyotes potentially is a pretender, but he does have some pieces that could move forward. I mean, the Herbert and Allen stack is pretty interesting. Oh, no. Sean has Allen. Okay.
And
so he has Herbert. He's been playing all right. The Chase has been playing really poorly. He's just, without the starting quarterback. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Our next one is you. Number 1 overall for week 3, 156 points, immune from week 4, which is a big deal. That's like that's almost getting paid, by getting immune so that you don't lose anything.
Yep.
And then DeChamp, number 1 overall coming into the week, puts up 96 points, which is one of the lowest scores of the week. Wasn't the lowest, but one of the lowest. All right, same thing here. Tell me about your team, Benz, and the 156 points, and then DeChamp is here. Who is a pretender and who is a contender?
I mean, where do I start here? This is such a fascinating matchup because of all like the implications here. So he could have put up 40 more points and I still would have won. And I don't know what that really says about like which team. It's like, but aren't we happy that DeChamp has the ability to just put up 96? Like,
yeah,
that's a good sign for the rest of us.
Yeah, it does.
I feel like, that's nice. And does it sit? Let me ask you. I think these are both contenders, right? I think that a team that can put up 156, it has to be in the mix. I put up 116 last week, but lost anyway, and then put up 123 to start the season. So I have that consistency there. I think there are some players on my team who have yet to really like find their way in their offense, like Matthew Golden. Let's see if he kind of blows up against the Cowboys next week. Like Omari and Hampton, he's just getting really started, right? And so
Najee Harris out.
Exactly, and has more opportunities now. So 2 contenders. Do you think that this is emblematic of Joe's team? Do you think that this is like an off week, or is this a sign of something?
No, I think it's an off week. I think Josh Allen played well. I think Zay Flowers was not included in that game plan for some reason. I think he will be much more involved in that game plan. Josh Jacobs, the same thing. James Cook, Tyler Warren had an off game. I think he has more points in the future. So no, I don't think 96. I don't know if he's as good as number 1 overall or anything like that, but he's a contender in my opinion. Now for Benz, I agree you're a contender, but how did you start Caleb Williams? Tell me about this thought process for Caleb Williams. Who was your other quarterback that you started him over?
Drake May.
Drake May. So where I mean, obviously results oriented, great pick. Where did that come from prior to Sunday getting started, and how did you land on Caleb Williams over Drake May?
I'm going to tell you exactly how. I don't know if people will believe me, but Caleb looks better.
Really?
He looks like more exciting, and he runs really fast. And it just looked like, and he's got Ben Johnson now.
Okay.
And I know he wasn't perfect in his first 2 games. He made plenty of mistakes. And Drake May, I think, is a little bit more measured and a little bit more contained and a little bit safer. But it was just the excitement of Caleb from the first 2 weeks that I was like, okay, and he's playing Dallas.
Yeah, good point. Bad defense, right?
Bad defense, and Drake May is playing Pittsburgh, who also hasn't been great, but has Watt. Sorry, has Watt, and I'm like, I have to swing for the fences against Joe. So that's why I put in Golden. That's why, because I just thought, of course, then Smith goes out and has 20. But I was like, Golden has been inches away from like 70, 60, 50-yard touchdowns the first 2 weeks, right? He's been just like a little bit off. I put in Golden and Kroski and Hampton. I kept him in, and I even put in Jatavian Sanders as like somebody who's been getting a lot of targets.
Who is he?
He's the Carolina tight end. And
I don't even know if I know that name.
Yeah, I don't know. That clearly didn't really work out. But
what about the thought process behind Bill versus Devontae Smith? Like how do you start Kroski Merritt over Devontae Smith?
Again, just opportunities and excitement. Like Devontae, he's so boring, and like you just can never tell. And of course, this happened to you every week last year.
Oh yeah,
I mean sometimes you got it right, like but you just don't know. And I feel like the Eagles offense is a little bit that way. You don't know if it's going to be Saquon. You don't know. You always know it's going to be.
That is painful. Just the tush push over and over again. And it's like, I'm surprised even Jalen Hurts at 35. Like, it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of big plays or like, superstar like moments like the Ravens versus Lions. Like you're not getting that. You're getting wins. I think it's a great NFL strategy, but for fantasy, other than Hurts, I don't know. Barkley, how's he been? He's been okay, right? Like he hasn't been, stellar. So
right. Yeah, exactly. And I had to take him where he was in the draft. I think it would have been kind of silly to pass him up. I had 3 running backs. I had JSN, and now I needed one other wide receiver.
Yeah.
But for the love of God, somebody take him off of my hands, please. I will trade.
Okay.
Anybody.
Booty? You want Booty?
Not anymore.
You want who do I have on my bench? I don't know. You want a bench?
I'll take a look at your bench, or I'll take a look at your starters actually, because he's great. You want him. You want him. He's really good.
Exciting guy to watch.
Yeah, I don't care if he goes off and has 25 every game the rest of the season. I don't want the headache of having to decide.
I'm surprised you decided. In my opinion, I know I sent out a text. It was funny because Caleb was just getting started. I'm like, how does he start Caleb over May? And then how does he start? I think it was Merritt that I was confused about. Kroski Merritt over Devontae Smith. And, it worked out fine. Even if you made the wrong decision for both of those, you still win this game. But you score 156 points, which is meaningful. So it was just funny. I think you made the right choice. Now does it become in the future a harder decision between Caleb and Drake May every week?
I think it just gets inverted. So I went into the season thinking it's going to be Drake May, and when I can, I'll get Caleb in there. It's just inverted now. It's Caleb, and then if I need Drake May, he'll get in.
Interesting. So a down week on Champ. I think you're right. They're both contenders there. And then our last matchup, and we can look at other ones if we have time, but our last matchup right now is Giants and Cowboys suck for Matt 3-0 going up against Pack Attack or 2-0 going up against Pack Attack, which was 2-0. The game of the week, both, fiery feedback that they had for the podcast, and they both go up against each other, and Giants and Cowboys gets the win, 120 versus 80. And at this point, unfortunately, we do have to make the announcement. Week 3 was our first week for our Survivor $360 pot for our eliminations. Pack Attack is the first one eliminated. Looks like a solid team, was 2-0, but is eliminated after scoring 80 points. So tell me what you think about these. Still contender or pretender? We got 2 pretty solid teams. Pack Attack puts up the least amount of points, and then Giants and Cowboys gets enough points to win. Would have lost to these other two teams that we just talked about with Sean, and then also ladies too, but wins against Pack Attack. So what are you thinking about these teams moving forward?
Giants and Cowboys is a really interesting, kind of exciting, like unique team for this season. You get him next week, which is a great matchup. True, That's a really cool matchup. I would fear for him now that you got your first win. Does your team just kind of keep rattling off wins here? But anyway, that's I know we have in the matchups we're talking about we have a good amount of contenders, but I think there's something. I think there's something real there in his team. I think it's not clear on like who his leader is. Chase Brown hasn't really panned out yet, and like let's see how he does. But he's got a huge piece in Javonte Williams. Even though he had a down week this week, I think he's going to be just consistent value as the year goes on. On the other side, because I think that kind of covers it. I mean, he got Rome as like probably a wide receiver 1 for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
In a really good spot there. On the other side, we've got our pretender here. I gotta stick with it. I'm a little fearful of what that means.
The email,
but yeah. But here's why. Like I mentioned on last week's episode that Malik needs to have a good game to carry the team. Malik doesn't have a good game, and I mean it really hurts his team. Of course, other players hurt his team, but this is what I said. I think I went down the guys and I said all of those guys are kind of capable of having a pretty bust week.
Yeah.
And it happened. It happened the very next week, and he got eliminated, which is brutal. That is brutal. But I would sound the alarm on Marvin Harrison Jr. When's he going to do it?
Never.
I right, like a year. We've had a whole year and 3 games now. Still has time. He's still young. Whatever. But when is it going to happen?
I mean, he even has a stack.
I know. And look at what the stack got him.
What has it got him? 23, 24 points. I mean, you could have a naked QB, not physically, but no stack, and he would get more points than that. So that's tough. That's tough.
It's hard. Like look at that roster. Go to YouTube, everybody, and look at the stream. Look at the roster, and just trying to be objective again. I don't go. Oh, at least he has Bucky Irving. I mean, he has Bucky Irving, but I would rather Bucky Irving as like my 3rd best player or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
He scored the most points, Bucky Irving, with 13 points, other than the QB for him, and it was 13 points. So yeah, it's a little tough, but I think we do have to sound the alarm. And then Giants and Cowboys, I agree. I think he's a contender, but I also and like I said, I'm going to stick to with what I said, and I play him next week, so I hopefully get a win there, and hopefully he doesn't show up. But he's been he's eking out a couple wins. I think he, the week 2 he said, it was pretty much deserved. I forget how many points he had, but I agree with him. I don't disagree. This one he would have lost to just about every team we talked about. In the first 3 matchups, other than Pack Attack, he gets a win there. I don't know. And again, it's not to diss him or Joe Burrow going down really hurts. A couple players are stepping up. Ricky Pearsall, Barkley, 9.5 points. He's going to have better games. Trey McBride is good. I don't know. Javonte Williams, maybe he becomes a pretender. Maybe he isn't who he says he is. For through the first 3 games. So
yeah,
I don't know. I struggle. I'm not going to sound the alarm. He's 3-0 for a reason. And he does have more games to prove himself. But right now I'm kind of in between. I'm in between, and I'm not really sure. But I think a lot will be unfolded in next week with him against me. I think I'm going to put up 120 at a minimum. At a minimum. Can Giants and Cowboys put up more than 120?
Right. And yeah, this is why I said it's interesting. I want to go, contender. But then it's like, wait a second. I mean, his totals have been 106, 139, 120. Nothing concerning, but also nothing. I mean, 139 is solid. That's a very, very good score. Yeah. If that's your highest score of the year, you've had a really good year. Like that's a good amount. But at the same time, this is the opposite for me of Pack Attack, where I do look at his team and go, oh, but at least he has Chase Brown who could turn things around.
Yeah.
Oh, but at least he has an exciting player in Rome Odunze, year 2, who could be the next big thing in Chicago. At least he has Saquon. Like, there's several pieces there. If he can get a quarterback, like, I don't know, like Drake May or somebody like that. If he could get a quarterback, and by the way, he's got one of the best tight ends. That's where it's like, oh, okay. There's a good chance here for him to stay in that. I would say on the list of contenders, maybe he's like the one who's kind of like hanging on to the person in front of him, like their shoes, like being dragged. No, it's not that bad, but maybe
Number
he's
2 overall because of the 3-0. Right? Yeah.
That's why it's weird.
65. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So fifth most in points or so, 6th most in points. So very interesting to see what will happen with Giants and Cowboys and Pack Attack, both of them. And I know they're both longtime followers of the show, so we'll try to keep it easy on you, but we're also gonna be objective as much as we can. And our last matchup before we move on to our game of the week is Groovy Q and Jet Up. Just to we touched on everyone else, why not touch on them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Groovy Q, not a great year. So unfortunately, he has reported that he is basically 0-3 in every league that he's in.
Right.
He's 12 in 2 leagues, 11 in 1 league. So just not a great year for him. He's got a team here, but it's just not a great team. He's had some boom players like Derrick Henry and Justin Jefferson, and then other weeks they have nothing. And Joshua Palmer's in his flex with 1 point. So I mean, obviously, I'm not going to sound the alarm. I think he knows the alarm is sounded. But what do you think? Is there any possibility? I know he's got a trade out there. So Pack Attack, if you're listening, he asked me to tell you to accept his trade. So please accept his trade. But what do you think? I mean, is there any positive outlook for Groovy Q?
It's bad when you don't even press the drop. We're not even going to sound the alarm for you. It's like he knows. He wakes up every morning. No, it's tough. Here's what I will say for him though. I really respect the fact that he is true to his rankings or his exposure or whatever, like his ideas for this year. I'm assuming all of his teams are somewhat similar with their makeup or with his draft strategy. And I like that he stuck with that. Some years it works and some years it doesn't.
Yeah.
And maybe this is just one of those years. Maybe there's some crazy turnaround coming. I look down that roster and same thing. It's like, I don't see how it turns around unless he gets some trades going. He's got to get Palmer out of that lineup.
Yeah, I agree.
There's got to be somebody better than that. But maybe there's not. The waiver wire has been iffy, and so I'm sorry, but Jet Up on the other hand,
I know.
Did you want to say anything about Q?
No. Let's talk about Jet Up quick, and then we're going to go into the game of the week, which features Jet Up. So what do you think about his previous week? 137 points, which is the second most behind you.
That number 1 in the league, by the way.
Yeah.
110 overall. Week 1, 152 week 2, 137 week 3. That's a nice average there. A lot of good pieces. And I'll just say this. He's got Jaden Daniels on his bench injured. And he was able to put up 137 like that. So I think this is a scary team.
Yeah, I agree. I have a quote text from Shane, who is Jet Up, September 4th. So right before opening night on Thursday Night Football for week 1, prior to the first game, he goes, I hate my team every year. I seem to be drafting on a plane every year. Yeah. That's my excuse for such an awful bunch of players I drafted. Number 1 overall after 3 weeks.
There you go. Oh. That's awesome. I love that you just pulled it up. It's like a coach at the podium, and just being real brutally honest. And look at what it did to his players. It fired him up. So we go right into the game of the week, which is you. We've been talking about you almost this is also Yahoo's game of the week, as well as
my game of the week.
Yeah.
We talked about you over and over again, winning the championship last year, and having a pretty good year already off the first 3 weeks. And now we just talked about Jetup and how awful his team was and how terrible it is going 3-0, number 1 overall. So tell me what you think about heading into this week 4 matchup between the number 1 overall and yourself. What do you think?
Well, so Joe was number 1, right?
Correct.
And so maybe I am the King Slayer this year. I get 2 number 1s right in a row.
Yeah.
And I, of course I'm going to like root and hope that I can do this and take myself here. And but you have to respect the first overall team. And that's the same thing that I did against Joe last week. I gotta go into this week thinking, how can I go for upside? How can I kind of get the most out of these players here in the way that I mess with my starting lineup? What you're seeing, everybody, this is pretty unique, right? Because we used to do game of the week or even matchups without looking at the players, and so you can see how I've already messed with my lineup. And I don't like that. No, it's fine. It's cool because everyone gets a little taste. Of course, you can go and look at it, right? Like you can also look at it, but a little taste here of kind of
4 running backs. Tell me a little bit about this, man.
I love my running backs. I've been saying it for the last 2 years. Like, I think I found something in this draft strategy, and I think I'm just
started with 3.
And right, exactly. And then all of a sudden I've got a couple on the bench that may actually be something. So sticking with this for now. Bijan, by the way, everyone, only has 1 touchdown, and it was in week 1, and it was that 60-yard catch. And so he's due for a couple of touchdowns coming up. JSN is just unreal. This guy is
great pick by you, man. You knew you had to. It was a little bit late, but I could have too, and I didn't. So great pick.
I just had to. Yeah, and it's working out, thankfully. We'll see about that Matthew Golden versus Devontae Smith. I have to see who he's going to end up playing. If he plays Travis Hunter, maybe I can get away with Matthew Golden, right, by taking the risk a little bit more, because Hunter's been bad. He's got a sneaky weapon in there with Trey Benson taking over, right?
James Conner just went down. His value is going to pick up. Bryce Young, is that his starting quarterback?
It was, but Jaden Daniels, that's why I'm saying he's sitting on his bench, and if he is healthy this week, then I'm really scared. Yeah.
So he played him last week, but he played Jaden Daniels the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. It's not that bad of a group. I know he was hard on himself, but man, Jaden Daniels, Amon-Ra, Devon Achane, one of my highest owned players. I love him. He's doing well. Benson coming out of nowhere with value because of James Conner. So I'm going to pick you. I'm going to say that Benz comes out of here with a victory, but definitely a tough battle. Number 1 overall for a reason, putting up points. Even Bryce Young doesn't look bad. I was just surprised he was the starter. But that makes sense. So we'll see. That'll be interesting to see for that matchup and for yourself too. I mean, you have that little 1 and the golden circle around your thing all year. So, and that, I feel like that's new. So maybe that's why you're taking down the number 1s, because you're like, no, I'm number 1.
That's me. Yeah.
I'm the number 1. And so let's see if we can take down number 1 once again. So that is our matchups for last week. We reviewed those. We already talked about the matchup of the week for going forward. And the last piece I wanted to go over was our updated Jersey Crew power rankings. So here we go. I'll send this out, but power rankings are based on total points plus your optimal points. And then it's times by or multiplied by your equity. So basically, the better the equity, the better the total points, the better the optimal points. It all goes into a formula. And for the most part, we're looking at almost exactly what the rankings of the most points, except for a couple different standings, but that does not line up with our exact rankings as well. So as we look here, number 1 overall is the Godfather for 415 points, most points this year so far, 8th overall because of my record, but number 1 in total points, number 1 in optimal equity at 94%. Number 2 is at 88%. So I have a 6% gap between.
That's amazing.
And to be honest with you, I just really don't have a decision. Once bye weeks come, and that we'll see. But right now it's just hey, I have my guys. Worthy's out. I have my guys, and we're good to go. 5th in optimal points. Number 2, DeChamp is here. Even above Jetup. Number 2 is DeChamp is here. Number 2 in optimal points, which is why. And then number 3 is Uncle Buck. So number 2 overall in number of points, but number 1 in optimal points with 493 optimal points this year. So that's where the big difference is. It's his optimal points. Even though he's only 83% optimal on equity, he has a ton of optimal points that he has on his bench or that he, is possibly going to use in the future. So that's our top 3 with Jet up right behind him. And then Benz, you round out the top 5 at 5 overall in points, 4 in optimal lineup points, and then 3rd in optimal lineup equity. So how do you feel about that? I mean, you have the 3rd best start ratio compared to what your bench is, and that's not always a stat that you've been very high on. So is that does that tell you something?
I mean, it's similar to your situation, I think.
Okay.
In that I took a lot of players late in the draft that I just knew were going to sit there for a while, and so far they're just kind of letting things percolate, and maybe they turn into something, maybe they don't. And so I'm pretty happy with that. Like you're saying, like each week, I kind of know who I'm going to play. I don't want to get cute. Now, this is where things start to change, though. And by the way, it's been too long since we've seen this. This graphic, since we've seen the power rankings, so it feels so good that it's back. As the next few weeks come, like you said, the buys start happening. People start getting a little bit nervous or getting a little bit cute with their choices. That's when things start to get shaken up, right? And for yourself too, like how long do you let that? I think your bench is like not anywhere near as good as your starters, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think it's like, I think it's pretty clear. Does that start to change? God forbid there's more injuries, and I'm sure you got hit up with that CD injury in your other leagues, right? But
no, I don't have a lot of CD.
Oh, good. Okay, I thought you had him. Okay,
best ball I do, but not in my managed leagues. No.
Okay, good. But do we keep holding our breath for those things, and how does that start to change? So
who has CD in our league? Do you remember?
No. This league?
Yeah, with Jersey Crew.
We just talked about him. Was it Brady Gaga because he has the stack of Dak Prescott and CD?
Okay, and he's 0-3. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah,
it's gonna be hard.
And then on the right side here is the upside model, which I use, and I kind of look back and I'm like, it actually kind of works out. I mean, you were on this for the top 3 almost all last year, and you ended up winning. Number 1 is Uncle Buck, and that's again because his optimal lineup equity is low, but his optimal lineup is so high. So like he has the ability to have that upside. So he's number 1 on our upside model. Number 2 is the Champus here, and he's ranked number 2 as a power ranking. That's a scary team. Maybe that's telling us something. And then number 3 is Jet Up, who's number 1 overall right now. But number 3 on our upside model. So just wanted to go over that. I'm going to send that out. It was kind of cool to do it as a visual on YouTube as well, kind of touch base on that, but it's back. Maybe I won't do it every single week, but I definitely am going to update that and keep that in our forefront to be able to talk about throughout the season. So big week, man. 3 weeks down, week 4. What's the biggest thing that you take out of these first 3 weeks for your team and going forward?
Just the potential.
Okay.
I wanted to cross a couple things off my list, right? I wanted to make sure I had the players who were going to be my stalwarts, and then I had the players who were going to be the exciting ones, because not that I want to base everything off of last year, but that's what worked, right? I had a few that were stalwarts, and then I had a few like Brian Thomas and that were the surprises or the exciting ones. And I think it's slowly shaping into that. So I'm really looking forward to that. If I could pass it back to you in a way and just say, like, if you could pick in the power rankings, like any of those bottom 5 teams or any of these 0-3 teams, and just give one of them a little ounce of hope and say, I don't know if it's based off these power rankings, but based off of any of your findings, you as the mastermind behind all of this, who do you see as like the one coming out of the heap of ashes?
that was a great setup. I think being who I am and data driven, I think I would use my upside model, and I would look at those top or those bottom 5, and I would look at the Coyotes number 11 in power rankings, number 6 in the upside. So maybe there's something there. Maybe he has to just pick the right players to start. Maybe potentially he has something there. And then I go up a little bit more and I see number 7 overall in the power rankings is Gangrene, and he is 4th in the upside model. So maybe those two. Maybe I'll go with my little formula here with the Coyotes and Gangrene. Let me just see what their rankings are. So the Coyotes is 1-2, 9 overall. Gangrene is 2-1, 6 overall. So he's even in the playoff picture. So those would be my other two. I mean, Groovy Q, Brady Gaga, Ladies Love Jim, but I think Coyotes, and up is going to be some competition there, and Gangrene I'll include in that as well.
There you go.
And I love it. I'm loving my guy. I like how you said you got your solid guys and you got your excited guy. Emeka Ibuka is my guy right now. Lamar Jackson obviously is one of my solids, and then Tet McMillan too. He's shown here and there, and I think he could explode as well. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'm loving my team. I know I'm 1-2. I know we keep talking about it, but I feel like I can put together a couple wins. Keep Giants and Cowboys, talking a little bit less, and just keep moving forward and kind of enter that playoff picture. Also, we're not doing the way too early playoff bracket until I'm in the playoff picture, and then we'll do the way too early playoff bracket. So we'll wait. All right. Anything else heading into week 4? Excited to get going, and good luck, man. You're playing number 1 overall, and I hope you get a W.
Yeah, and you got a huge matchup here too. So right back at you. We can no longer say, we're just getting started. It's the early season. We're in week 4 here, people.
Let's here. Go. Let's go. All right. Good luck.
You too.